States was reeling under the impact of prohibition. The sale of whiskey, wine, and beer was prohibited by law, but there were many willing to break that law. Gangsters took over. Crime flourished. Mobs fought each other for prime territories.
There's no use arguing with this joint. Ziegler runs it himself. Step on it.
And blood flowed in the streets.
Scarface. You probably know the 1983 version with Tony Montana, right? But actually, the story was first told way back in 1932. The original Scarface, directed by Howard Hawks, was about a gangster inspired by Al Capone. For its time, it was really bold, even scandalous. But a lot changed in America over the years. Then in 1983, the story moved to Miami's cocaine-fueled streets. That's where we met Cuban immigrant Tony Montana. Same core story, but a totally different world. So how did the 1932 Scarface turn into the 1980s legend? Let's dive in. Era and social background. Back in 1932, America was in the Great Depression. Jobs were scarce, people were struggling, and there was prohibition, the alcohol ban. This ban actually made the underworld stronger. Mobsters made fortunes smuggling booze. The original Scarface captured this perfectly. Tony Camonte, an Italian-American gangster, rises through illegal alcohol trade. He was clearly inspired by Al Capone, Chicago's dark streets, smoky nightclubs, gang wars, classic gangster film stuff. Fast forward to 1983, America was very different. The Reagan era. After years of economic troubles, the drug epidemic exploded. Miami became the cocaine capital. Cuban immigrants flooded Florida. Brian De Palma and Oliver Stone took this new reality and reshaped Scarface. Prohibition was gone, replaced by cocaine cartels. Tony Camonte became Tony Montana, a Cuban refugee. The core story stayed, starting from nothing, rising to the top. But everything else, the crime, the world, had changed completely. Setting and atmosphere. The 1932 film was set in Chicago. It had that classic film noir look. Shadows, foggy streets, dim bars. The criminal world felt dark and mysterious. Crime lived in the shadows. But the 1983 version, it was the opposite. Miami's bright tropical colors, neon lights, beaches, luxury mansions, nightclubs. A flashy world, but rotten inside. Crime wasn't hidden anymore. It was right in your face. That made the story visually striking and very different. Character evolution. Tony Camonte in 1932 was a simple gangster. Greedy, violent, reckless. Ambitious, yes, but one-dimensional. A classic mob boss living for power and women. He didn't really connect emotionally with the audience. More like a warning. Crime leads to a fast rise and a fast fall. Tony Montana, on the other hand, is way more complex. He's an immigrant who starts as a victim, from a Cuban refugee camp trying to survive. You feel sympathy for him at first, but slowly his ambition takes over. He sees the world is yours sign and wants everything. You watch his insatiable greed grow. He's both sympathetic and terrifying. You get angry at him, but also admire him. Tony Montana is a tragic figure, much deeper than Tony Camonte. Violence and storytelling violence in 1932 was mostly implied. Strict censorship back then meant gunfights happened behind doors or in shadows. It was shocking at the time, but today feels mild. 1983 showed violence in full, brutal detail. The chainsaw scene shocked even 80s audiences. Bullets flying, bloody shootouts, a violent grand finale. Hollywood wasn't afraid anymore to show the raw side of crime. The 80s style was harsher and more explicit. The American dream and themes. Both films share a theme, the dark side of the American dream. A man who starts from nothing, rises, but falls because of greed and ambition. But how that dream is shown is very different. In 1932, the dream was tied to Prohibition-era mob life. Crime brought riches, but the state crushed it eventually. In 1983, the American dream became individualistic and materialistic. Money, cocaine, luxury. Tony Montana's mansion looks like a palace, but is empty inside. The higher he climbs, the lonelier he gets. The dream is all about materialism now. So, is 1983's Scarface a remake?
Me, nobody else.
Not really.
Okay.
It's more a reinterpretation. Same soul, different era, different crime, different character motivations. That's why it became a classic on its own. So that's Scarface, from 1932 to 1983. Same story, 2 different times, 2 different worlds, 2 different Tonys. From foggy Chicago streets to Miami's neon lights. From prohibition to the cocaine epidemic. 2 twisted versions of the American dream. Which one do you prefer? Classic noir Scarface or the wild 80s Tony Montana? Let me know in the comments.